If you own a training gym, your business is massively impacted by each team member. I mean, think about it. You don't have that many people on your team and you are selling service. You are selling people's soul force. Therefore, every hire is very, very important. So in today's video, I want to help you find the best people. I'm going to show you 4 keys for effective hiring. And I got to warn you, number 4 is going to sting. It hurts. My name is Mark Fisher from businessforunicorns.com, and while we may disagree about exactly what's going on, I think everybody can admit this has been a very, very difficult time to hire over the past several years. So that means it's even more important that you're paying attention to these 4 keys to making good hires. Key number 1, you have to commit to 10xing how hard it's going to be and how much work you need to do. Finding the right people for your team is a very, very big deal if you want to enjoy your work, if you want to be effective at achieving your mission, and if you want to have a successful business. This, I think, is actually the biggest block, is not accepting how much effort has to go into this. Too often, I see someone looking for a trainer and they'll maybe put up a web page and maybe do 1 Facebook post and then throw up their hands and say, I can't find any good trainers, I can't find any good employees. Well, that's because you haven't really done a lot. This is actually not that dissimilar to marketing for new clients. You can't do just one thing once and expect you're gonna get any results at all. You have to really turn over every rock. And in an upcoming video, I'm gonna show you 15 very specific ways to look for and find awesome new employees for your training gym. Key number 2, you have to build your pipeline before you need it. You'll be much better off if you have some people in the pipeline that you've at least had some conversations with, rather than starting from absolute zero after you lose a staff member or need to ramp up your capacity. For obvious reasons, trainers are to some extent a little bit higher to put right on the floor because they're going to require some training. Now, if you hire somebody that you have worked with for a long time as a client, or maybe you have a relationship with somebody that is a fitness professional, you've already had some dialogue about possibly joining the team, that might expedite your situation. So I would say this, keeping a pipeline of trainers, if you had to choose, is probably more important than keeping a pipeline of people that might join an administrative staff. If you meet somewhere out in the world, whether they be a trainer or whether they be an amazing barista that you meet in a cafe and you think this person just has a lot of style and they seem to, upon striking up a conversation, have some interest in fitness, give them a free membership. That's one of the ways at Mark Fisher Fitness we love to keep these relationships alive, is proactively courting people we think might be a good fit and then letting them train for several months for free, and then importantly, following up with them. Because if you just give someone a free membership, a lot of times they'll appreciate it, but things will come up, life will come up. So you're gonna have to put some work here, just like you would if you're nurturing a lead to join your gym as a client. Key number 3, you need to make sure your hiring processes are your most dialed in SOP. The reality is, if you only have a few team members at a time, and if you're not having disaster and having people leave all the time, you're only gonna be making so many hires per year. So you're not gonna get a ton of reps in.
Andy Hertzfeld. Are you good?
And of course, we know that getting a lot of reps in is part of how we achieve mastery at anything we're looking to do. So while you can't reasonably expect to up the number of times you're hiring people in a given year, you can get better at hiring over time if you have a clearly written, documented SOP that creates exactly what's gonna happen every single time you're looking with someone. If you write this down, even if you're only hiring, let's say, twice per year, if you keep careful notes, and every time you get through that hiring process, you make any careful adjustments and write it down, over time, this SOP is not only going to get more consistent, but it's going to improve based on what you're learning based on results. And if you're looking for a particular set of questions you should ask in an interview, check out my video below in the description box where I share my personal favorite interview questions, which is, of course, one of the steps of any good interview process. Number 4, accept you're not going to get it right some of the time. Across all small businesses, if I had to pick the number 1 most common misstep that owners make to prevent the business from being successful as it could, that is not being willing to let underperformers go when they're not either right fit for your culture or they can't do the job to the standards you've set out. Unless you have a really long internship, which some of you might, particularly those you have performance training gyms, on balance, an interview process, even when it's very good and very dialed in, is still gonna allow people to sneak through. It's an imperfect process. So ultimately, the only way you can know how someone's gonna thrive is to have the opportunity to work with them for 3 to 6 months. If you get to the end of the 3 months, listen, the reality is, as an owner, as a manager, you could always be doing things better. One thing I see that gets in people's way is they feel like, not incorrectly, it's partly their responsibility. They think, oh, I could have maybe managed this person better. And listen, that makes a lot of sense, but you also have to accept you're not gonna get this right all the time. Yes, the more dialed in this process is, the more people you get at the very top of the funnel, and the more people you are able to have conversations with and compare and contrast with each other, generally the better decisions you're gonna make. But I think this last step is strangely counterintuitively maybe the most important part. Because remember, in closing, every single person you have on a small team has really outsized impact on your clients, on the rest of your team. So every single person in a small business matters. So that's why it's really important to dial in these 4 keys. And the 4th key, I'm sad to say, is if you find this person is not really fit, do not only yourself a favor, but do them a favor and send them away, because the reality is it might just not be the right fit for them, and they might find another place where they could go and they'd be able to thrive. All right, friends, thank you so much for watching today's video. I'm gonna be doing a few more videos in the next few weeks on interviewing. So if you're interested in checking them out, be sure to hit that subscribe button. I'll look forward to seeing you next time, where I will share more actionable tips, psychological frameworks, and yes, philosophy.